When health is absent, wisdom cannot reveal itself, art cannot manifest, strength cannot fight, wealth becomes useless, and intelligence cannot be applied. Now that was said over 2,300 years ago, and it's just as accurate today as it was back then. However, Hermophiles would have been a lot more accurate if he would have said, when real health or true health is absent, then what do we got? That's when we lose paradise and we end up in the dark ages. That's how we lost our golden ages. When true health is absent, we've lost one of our senses. When true health is absent, we have the wrong mentality. When true health is absent, we compete for resources instead of wanting to cooperate and share the abundance this abundant planet has to offer. When real health and true health is absent, we end up with hundreds of thousands of problems that are virtually all within our control. Indeed, wealth is useless. You can take the richest person on this planet, and if they're in ill health, I guarantee you they'll trade every penny they got to trade places with the guy out there sweeping on the street that has vibrant health, real health. Nothing's more important than health, and you know that if you watch any of my videos, because every video I talk about has to do with us being the best that we can be, to illustrate that we play a role in the collectiveness of our problems. When health is absent, we have war and crime and violence. We've got the wrong mentality. It's not complicated either. Once you understand what real health is, and most people don't know what real health is. Most people think it's an absence of symptoms. And a lot of people don't even know they have the symptoms. Reminds me of an old study I read way back in the 1950s, where they surveyed these 1,000 businessmen, average age 48. 41% of them had serious conditions they didn't even know they had. Now 11% had serious conditions they knew they had. 13% were supposedly healthy. But I guarantee you not one of them were. Because virtually all of us have what we call a latent disease, like heart disease and cancer. These things don't just fall out of the sky all of a sudden. When you have a heart attack at 38 or 58 or 78, it wasn't because of what you did yesterday. Although it might have been a nail in that coffin, more than likely. You've been putting nails in your coffin every day for decades, and that's why some symptoms and diseases take that long to manifest. So what we have to do is understand that we're doing it to ourselves, but then it gets so confusing because we think we're healthy and we're not. People have symptoms. I talk to people all the time and I say, are you healthy? They go, yeah, I'm healthy. Taking some blood sugar medication or high blood pressure medication, but I'm healthy. And even if they weren't taking the medications, they're still going to think they're healthy because they have no idea they got a serpent inside of them and their biophoton levels are just too low. That means cellular communication is not at an optimum. And again, this is what contributes to the dark side of our behavior. Having a serpent inside of us and or not having enough of those biophotons inside of our cells so that we can communicate and sense with everything around us. That's the biggest problem that we have as a species. And right now I've got a mosquito. That's a mosquito up there, but I got something else flying in my ear right now. That's my biggest problem. But for all of us, we have to realize that it's confusing, and I know that. People say, John, you know, I've got this condition, and this person claims they can help that condition because it has to do with the gut. And yeah, a lot of it does have to do with the gut. We know that death begins in the colon. We know there's a connection there. But yet you'll see some protocols that are diametrically the opposite of what we're supposed to do. How are they getting results? Well, to understand any type of diet, you have to look at it the way I would look at it. And a good video for you guys to watch, if you haven't already, is my video on a paleo versus a vegan diet. Based on 5 main mistakes. You have to look at all diets based on 5 main mistakes. And in this video, I want to focus on the big one, number 4. That's the Industrial Revolution. That's when we start processing our foods. Now, one of my favorite stats that I used to use a decade ago was in the last 10 years, Processed foods have doubled. 180,000 to 360,000 processed foods. Guess what else has doubled? Diabetes, type 2 diabetes. Is there a connection? You think? Well, I looked at the last 10 years, just before I came out here. I just wanted to kind of get a ballpark number. It looked like about 225,000 new processed foods that come into play. So it had a 125% increase from the 10 years before that. And that includes one time period in 2008. Remember that, where we had this big crash? It went from like 21,000 down to 15,000 or so new products because of the crash. And we've got to wake up to this, and that's why I keep alluding to this piece of the puzzle. Because these things are planned by design. Odious debt. Look at what happened at Iceland. They audited their books. It turned out 93 or 91% of their debt was odious. It was made up. It's bogus. Same thing here in America. The debt we owe to these people is bogus. It's odious. Cancel it right off the bat. Screw those bastards for charging us to begin with. They should be lucky we don't hang them by the balls. And again, I don't believe in punishing. But I don't think the rest of the people around here are going to be so kind when they realize what these guys have done. And I point these guys out because that's the number one reason why we don't know what's the right diet, why there's so much confusion. Why can we have someone promote a diet that's going to make us sick, but yet it seems to make us feel better? And what you're going to find is I can pick up 10 diets. I can even make it up right now in my head, 10 different diets, and half of them could be diametrically the opposite. And that all will get results for the average person. Why? Because I'm going to eliminate mistake number 4, processed foods. It's the biggest mistake we're making, my friends. But remember, if we were making the very first mistake, we wouldn't make the second and the third, and we wouldn't continue on with the fourth and the fifth. That's why we have to understand the importance of the fall of mankind. But the reason why this is so confusing, when you look at any diet and you hear people getting good results on it, what you're going to find is they really cut out on the processed foods. So that's going to make the diet better. Remember, we can rate our diets on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1's the worst and 10's the best. Most of us are around a 2 or a 3, so when someone throws a 4 or a 5 at us, yee-haw, look how much better it is. So it is confusing. How can these people be getting results? Because it's a better bad diet. You're still going to have problems with that diet if it's not food we're meant to eat. Simple to figure out, what should we eat? Does the food want us to eat it? Does it run from us? Does it put anti-nutrients in it that say, you better not eat me, I'm going to make you sick? Or is it begging you with colors and smells to eat it, so that you'll take its seed and plant it? You bet there is. It's obvious the food we're supposed to eat. So you can tell right off the bat when someone's promoting this and they say, oh, you can't eat fruit raw. What a bozo to say a statement like that. In fact, it wasn't that long ago where they actually thought those things, several hundred years ago. But that just goes to show you how much confusion there is around an area that we don't want to focus on. Addictions and denial are the one of the two of the most powerful wellness factors that keep the rest of us from even entertaining this idea. That's why for a decade or more I've tried to figure out a clever way to disguise this. Finally gave up. We've got to realize we are what we eat. And we've got to correct all 5 mistakes. The processed foods is a big one. Again, we went from 180,000 to 360,000 up to 585,000, I guess, is what that number would be if I put the numbers. I just ballparked the numbers and calculated it real quick. I didn't actually get actual numbers. I looked at a graph and I could be off 5 or 10, who knows, but it's still close enough to help us realize that the quality of our lives depends on the quality of our food. When you can come to that realization, my friends, I guarantee you, you're in for a treat.